Hey guys, I am MG, and today I'll be looking at Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which is a 1991 American science fiction action film that is about the Terminator being sent back into time in order to protect John Connor. And it was directed by returning director James Cameron, who co-wrote the script alongside William Wisher. However, why don't we stop being upset and start reviewing this film right now? This is often considered to be one of the best films ever made, and it's really easy to see why, since, yeah, this film rules. Maybe not as much as other people see it, but I still had a really great time watching this film. Before I start praising it, I should probably address a couple of issues with it, and one of them is the visual effects. I mean, yeah, it certainly is dated, which is not surprising since this was the first film to use CGI all the way through, and even though it's dated, it's still wildly impressive with how much they could make using this old technology. And to be honest, the effects don't look that bad. Not better than the first, but I feel like it could have been way worse, so that's great. However, my main issue is the pacing. I watched the director's cut, so that might impact it, but in this cut, the runtime is way too long, and at some points, it kind of drags in some scenes, and you really just want to move on to the next scenes, since the slowing down moments are effective, but I'm sure it could have been shortened in some way. But oh well. I would have also preferred it if the T-1000 didn't disappear for an hour. I know it requires a lot of CGI to make, but by that time, you don't see him from a hospital escape till the climax. And it would have been better if they somehow had at least one scene with him, which just shows how he's trying to find the protagonists, because he is very scary in my opinion. Other than that though, this film was enticing as script. The action is so much better than before, with it having a lot more tension, energy, and volume, with my favorite being the first set piece with a truck, which was so fast and exhilarating that made it so good to watch. And the other action scenes are the same as well. I really enjoyed the hospital escape, the invasion of Cyberdyne was fun, even though it was the weakest, and the entire climax was all over the place, that made it very riveting to see all the way through. The music by Brad Fiddle is even better than before, with it having a very intense and dramatic theme to it, which highlights every scene it is playing in. The dream sequences were all very horrifying to watch, especially the one where we see how much everything gets burned. The cinematography feels so damn alive, and it heightens the creativity of the action set pieces even more than it already did. But surprisingly, my favorite aspects of this film are the character relationships between Sarah, John, and the Terminator. I like Miles, who was a pretty solid character, from nice acting by Joe Morton, but it's these three that really make up a spotlight, especially John Connor and the Terminator. Before I get to them though, I have to say that seeing Kyle Reese again was actually very satisfying, even though his cameo was only left in this cut, which is a shame. And the villain T-1000 was very menacing, with a sick as hell new ability, a very intimidating performance from Robert Patrick, and the weight of the fact that he seems even more unstoppable than the Terminator in the first film, which enhances the danger he presents throughout all of his scenes. But moving on, Sarah was still a really endearing protagonist, with a nice relationship between her and John, and Linda Hamilton is much more compelling than before, due to her bringing a lot more emotions. However, every scene between John and the Terminator was wholesome as heck. Both Edward Furlong and Arnold Schwarzenegger were very natural in their acting. It was nice to see the Terminator be all human-like because of John's compassion, and their goodbye scene was honestly really effective, and kind of made me sad because of how much I loved their chemistry. I mean, the Terminator smiles, how awesome is that? Anyways, I think you get the picture by now, because overall, this film is great. Maybe not as great as others find it to be, but it was still a very worthwhile sequel to the original, and I would highly recommend it for everyone. So go ahead and watch it, and you will not be disappointed whatsoever. 8.9 out of 10. Goodbye everyone, and thank you for watching. Bye!